Why was this realm created in the first place?
This particular creation was created to experience that which we are not. We are created in the image of the soul, which is you. And when you return to the other side, just like you like to wear certain clothes, so does the soul. It has the style of what it likes to be.
Can you shift into a parallel version of your own life or a different timeline?
Parallel realities are potential time events. And so can we tap into that and see that 100%? When I experienced myself, I was able to relive certain events, yes. From my direct experience, it seems like when you tap into a past event, you could step into that fully. Now, can you tap into a future event, possibility of time, and live it in that way? Yes, you can, but it feels less physical.
Humans are programmed to forget who they are. Who or what made us forget our true nature in the first place?
Us. We agreed to have an experience of the temporary forgetfulness. It was always us. That may not be the answer that people want to hear, but I won't necessarily get into that because I respect your platform enough not to want to get it banned. The moment you step into higher states of consciousness or the source of who you are, then you'll realize that nothing could ever be hidden from you. You are outside of thought itself. You are the one that even makes thought possible. We know that we have an electromagnetic field. So when I think of something in my mind right now, I'm thinking of a clown in front of me. So right now, you can't see that clown. But if you were in this space and you came out of your body or you were clinically dead, you would actually see myself sitting here physically, but you will also see my thought form, the clown, where I'm projecting.
Our dreams, are those real?
Yes, all of it is real, even your dreams itself. There's so much more to you than you could possibly imagine.
Do you think that the Earth is approaching the end of a major cycle?
It's reaching a conclusion, a completion, absolutely.
Hi, everyone. Before we get into the podcast, I just wanted to say 90% of you that are watching this right now aren't subscribed, and it would mean the world to us if you would. So if you can hit that subscribe button and the notifications icon, that would truly help us out and help us to give you the content that you want to watch. So thank you so much, and here we go into the podcast. In your understanding of the cosmic architecture, why was this realm created in the first place? And I'm curious that if we choose our bodies before incarnation, what was the purpose behind choosing our specific life circumstances?
From what I've seen, this particular creation was created to experience that which we are not. Now, when you hear me state that before, it wasn't necessarily to experience that which we are not in the most extreme ways that we experience right now. Okay, because everybody was it was supposed to be a gradual forgetting process to return back to truth in your home of who you are at some point, and you could say within the creation of that has had unforeseen events to take place as well. Now, do we choose to come in or pre-plan certain things? Yes. But not 100% verbatim everything, but there are preset markers that you set. Let's just say, for instance, getting in a relationship or meeting someone, et cetera, there are sometimes a lot of preset events within people's lives, and this is why you will even hear children sometimes say to their parents, "Oh, I chose you this time." Yeah. So you'll hear that a lot within certain kids. Now, when it comes to the physical body, you'll hear a lot of things. It's funny because a lot of the things that I talk about, I promise you, I'm not religious. I haven't even I can't even read the Bible or anything, but I'm not. But it comes, a lot of the things that I say are just like, I'm like, okay, well, there you go. But when you look at how they say that we are created in the image of God, okay, I want you to flip that. So let's just say, who is the father? So what's considered the father? The father is considered the God source of things, and therefore
Yeah.
we are created in the image of God. And but the father is actually the soul, which is you, which is every single person is the father, is the soul, and the source of all things, which is God itself. You could say it's the father and the mother of all things, which is you. Now, we, I have noticed that certain individuals tend to come in with a particular, all through different lives or even how their soul looks. There's a certain template that is sort of repeated. And this is why you'll even have people that have died and they come back. You'll hear stories where they have a scar or something. And, you know, when they look back into that life review, it's because they were murdered in a certain way and it's presented in the physical body. I have personally noticed that even with myself, I remember looking into certain things, past things within myself, or even other people validating that with me, that they hold a similar there's a similar uh, uh, look of how their soul looks and how they've looked throughout lifetimes, and that's because we are created in the image of the soul, which is you. And when you return to the other side, just like you like to wear certain clothes or you have your style, so does the soul. It has the style of what it likes to be, and it's picked that template. Now that template's not forever or can never be changed, but it seems to be pretty consistent based off what I've seen, you know. So hope that answers that.
No, that does, and it really thank you so much for that explanation. I'm sure it's something that a lot of the viewers were curious about. Darius, I also wanted to ask you, and this is something I'm also curious about. Well, I've always thought about this, but never had a chance to ask anybody. During an OBE, can you shift into a parallel version of your own life or a different timeline? And if so, how would you know which one is your home reality?
Okay. It's not necessarily which one was your home reality. So the question that you're really asking is, or the answer to it is, can we, when we come out of our body, see parallel realities, parallel time events? Now, parallel realities are, yes, they're potential time events in that way. And so can we tap into that and see that 100%? So I've seen things within myself, actions that I would do, or let's just say, for instance, there was I remember doing a interview. This would have to be a year ago, and I was showing myself coming out of my body, how that would unfold, and certain things not to say, and etc. And so that in essence is a parallel or potentiality, and we have access to all these things. So it's not necessarily like you'll jump into one when you're out of your body and ever get lost, but you could see all these potentials playing out because you have the access to the infinite of possibilities, and also the past as well, and the things that you've experienced in the past. So yeah, you can do those things, but you'll never get lost in them. It's just opening up more of the consciousness in your awareness to see all the things that we can't see physically, and that is also accessing all of those potentials as well. Yep.
Wow. So you can see the different realities and the parallel universes, but you can't actually tap into it in terms of like actually living through that if you wanted to or something like that. That's not possible.
Um, you can do it through. I've I've experienced it for myself. And again, I don't like to do a lot of theorizing, and so I'm always trying to go back to what I experienced. Is when I experienced myself, I was able to relive certain events. Yes. So can you tap into it in a way where you're living it? Yeah, yeah, you can. But from my direct experience, it seems like it's when you tap into a past event, you could step into that fully, as if like feel everything type of deal in that way. Now, can you tap into a future event possibility of time and live it in that way? Yes, you can, but there's still there's a slight difference, like of it feels less physical. That's the only way I could describe it. So to answer your question, it's a yes, but it's different in the way that it's felt. And this actually even leads into a whole other statement and answer that you may have not even a question that you haven't even asked it, but here's an answer to it. Is I've identified what potentialities of time. I've identified this. When you're accessing a certain potential, you know when that potential is almost solidified and going to happen, because once you step into that potentiality of time, it feels more solid and more physical, like this physical reality. As when you're tapping into certain potentialities that aren't so solidified, they seem almost like a dream and mystical and less physical and less tangible. And so this is how I've been able to, for myself, even when I'm trying to do these things, see, okay, yeah, that's a very, very high possibility in the 80%, if not 100%, because once I've experienced it, it was so physical and tangible to me. I just knew that that was almost the immediate event to occur. Now, I'm not sure if everything that I said actually makes sense, but I'm trying to make sense of it all and put it into a big picture that people could see. Okay.
No, no, it really does make sense. Thank you for clarifying that and creating this picture. It helps me understand in a much better way. Darius, I've heard you say that humans are programmed to forget who they are. Why is this so, and who or what made us forget our true nature in the first place?
Um, us, us men. Yeah, yeah. It's always been we agreed to have an experience of a temporary forgetfulness. It was always us, you know. That may not be the answer that people want to hear. Um, People want to hear like who are the they, but I won't necessarily get into that on this particular platform. Just for the purpose of so people know, because I respect your platform enough not to want to get it banned. You see, so I won't go into that detail. But the who made us forget, the simplest way to understand it was us that has done it. Um, that's the answer to that.
Thank you for that. Um, this is definitely another question that I've personally asked a lot of times, and I'd love to ask you this, Darius. Do you think that suffering is meaningful at the soul level, or is it purely an artifact of forgetting who we are? And how would you explain the existence of evil, violent acts, war, or injustice? Are these glitches, challenges designed for growth, or something else entirely built into the structure of this physical realm?
Suffering comes from suffering comes from the stepping away from love. So the moment you step into here, okay, here we go with the religious stuff again, but it couldn't be any further from the truth. But the moment you come in here, you are sort of tagged in that way through the physical body. They call it you're born in sin or whatever. But then this has been so distorted where it's like, well, you are not the very source of all things, and that's the distortion, you see. But the moment you are born into this physical reality, you could say you are born into a illusion through only the physical body of imprisonment, suffering, etc. And all of these things are born only through the physical aspect, you see. Because once you're on the other side, and or not even in the other side, once you're out of your body, all of a sudden that's not there. You know, you break past all those things in a sense. So the moment you are born into the body, you are born and you are tagged into sin itself, what they say, which is the suffering, because you're born into that. Um, and because you're never disconnected, but the illusion of disconnection is there. So you have, I'll explain it this way as well. You have two sides. Let's just say the light over here and the dark over here. So the love, freedom, and then you have dark and evil. Now love is what you are. Being is what you are. The infinite is what you are. And in love, what is the source of love? When you go to the source, you try to go to the source. What is love? So it's a definition of, and what is this definition? And everybody has this idea of what love is. Love is joy. Okay, well that's an aspect of a joy, an aspect of love, but it's not it. And then people say love is loving other people. Yeah, that's a let's just call it a tentacle of love, but it's actually not it. So where is love born from? Where is the source? If you could give it one word, and that one word is freedom. Because in freedom, what is born is you are authentically yourself and just being yourself and free to do in love. And so in what's born from freedom itself is love, joy, being, expression, all of these things that we experience. And courage is a tentacle of love. Yes. Then when you go into what is through the physical body, you see, because that's your home, and then you come into this place, you could say through the veil, and the veil is the physical body, and then your soul is inside the physical body, which gives you only through the physical body the illusions of basically what you are not, in a sense, through, well, this physical body can be harmed. You could have and you could be imprisoned physically. And so in evil itself and fear itself is born from one thing and one thing alone, and that's loss. And so from loss of, you have all of these tentacles from loss, fear, loss, and suffering, pain, the judgment even comes from loss itself too. So that's experienced here to its fullest. Because the moment you see yourself, you're home again, you return to all things that are good, all things that are free, and nothing of control, nothing of deceit, nothing of lies. That's done here, but not there. So when you come into that veil, this is what happens. But you could shatter that veil. You could shatter the veil of forgetfulness. You could shatter the veil of all of these things by just remembering who you are. And then when you remember who you are, that comes fully and more into this physical body, and it breaks down the mind, mental gymnastics, the constructs of the mind, and you start operating based off of just being what you are, which is love itself. Does
Wow.
I know that's a big way of explaining something, but I hope that makes sense.
No, it is a big way, but at the same time, you've explained it in a very clear manner. So thank you for that. Because yeah, you're right. A lot of people, like you said, that they label love as, oh, it's a joy or it's happiness, but that's just little aspects of it. It's not it's or emotions or actions that happen because of who you are, because you are that love, and that is your being. But we kind of labelize it in a way and kind of limit our understanding of it. But thank you so much for explaining it in that way that you did. This is another question that a lot of our
I
viewers
just
do
want to say
have.
this too. I
Yeah.
just want to, if you don't mind, I just want
Yeah,
to say
please
this
do.
too. And I've said this before, I believe in here, but I want to um, bring it up again. Is how important being something is. The very act of trying is not being it. Trying is resistance and it's friction. Anytime you have resistance and friction, it's because it's in a static state, and it's not. You're not that. You being yourself is never a static or resistant state. It's always just free. And the moment that you shed this body and you leave it and you realize who you are, the overwhelming freedom comes from there's no more static, there's no more resistance. I don't have to pretend to be this or that or based off what people may judge me as. I could just be myself in my soul, my divinity, because it gets rid of all that static, all that trying. So any act of trying to be something is actually you being it not. Yeah, that's important because love doesn't try. It's just a constant. It's a constant thing. Love is there because it never stopped loving to begin with. It never stopped loving. Okay.
Yeah. Beautifully explained. Thank you so much for that. No, it is. Yeah, no, love. As soon as you're right, as soon as you try, you're creating that friction, and it's not the being anymore. It's not what you truly are. You're trying, and then you're creating that friction. So, no, that really does make sense. It's definitely given me some clarity. So, thank you for that. Yeah, and I was asking, this is another question that's very popular amongst our viewers. Um, would you say that this physical reality, Earth, is a construct, simulation, or some type of training environment?
Mhm. All right. So simulation. Um, is it a simulation? I- No, not in the way that people would say simulation. Not the way when you ask that question, I know where people's minds are in terms of simulation, and so not in the way that they're thinking. It's a no. But is it a simulation? Yes. But if you detach from the way that it's not from, it's not real in that sense because it still is real. It is an illusion. But look at it this way, because this is a question that you get that comes from purely the mind and the thinking type of mentality. Everything from the very beginning outside of all of these things. So you go back to the source of you and you are just in the, let's just say the void, this, the place where there is all possibility, everything is available to you and it's manifested like that. As soon as you think about it, it is presented to you because you are that source and all of those things. So anytime anytime you have a thought in that state, understand this. When you have a thought, you have an imagination. So when you have an imagination, you birth light into creation. And that very birthing of light into creation puts it into a confinement of the very thought and imagination that you had. What you could say is a matrix or a prison in and of itself, because not that you are defined by that imagination, that creation of light, but you are even outside of all thought itself and all prisms of light itself, because you are the one that even makes those things to begin with. So every single thing that you imagine that you will create on the other side, all is a bending of prisms of light for you to enter a certain matrix, for your soul to enter something, because even in the imagination of something is already a limitation. Do you see? So if I imagine a thought form of something, I put borders, boundaries, and limitations through that prism of light, through that imagination. I define the imagination. And when you define something through thought and through your imagination, you actually give it the borders. And you are not confined within the thought itself. You are outside of it. You are the one making those things, not of it itself. So every single thing that you ever experience, even here, we are in a confinement of a thought. All of this was manifested from a thought of a soul. And now we're in it, and yet we think that we're bound to it or somehow not able to exit it, or this is a matrix and we're looped and we're stuck. But you are even outside of all thoughts, imaginations, and prisms of light itself. You create it all. Everything is everything from the very thought is a matrix. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense. So we're creating our own, in a way, matrix. Like you're kind of saying that our own thoughts, our own imagination, that is limiting ourselves in a way.
Well, it's not a limit. It's not. But the limit only the limit is only true when you think that you are bound by the very thought that you had. Then there you go. That's the limit. You see, because you are outside of thought itself. You are the one that even makes thought possible. So if you make something possible, that doesn't mean that you are it itself, that you are outside of those things making those things. But you become imprisoned when you put yourself in the form of that thought is me, and therefore I don't exist beyond that creation or that construct. Then you become imprisoned and limited and limited. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for explaining that. That was really, really helpful. I'm sure that the audience will really resonate with that explanation as well. Previously, you were talking about negative forces. I would love to dive a little bit deeper into that, just ask a question regarding that. Um, do you think that deceptive or negative forces also exist in other realms? And how does one discern truth from illusion?
Um. hmm. Free will would be free. So, you have, everybody has the freedom to do something. But the thing is, once you step beyond and you know yourself, that first and foremost, that's all right. Deception, deception only exists because let's just I'm going to use words so people can understand. Deception only exists because the consciousness that we operate in is so low that deception is manifested that way, because we are not tapping into the source of ourself. Because the moment you step into higher states of consciousness or the source of who you are, then you'll realize that nothing could ever be hidden from you. There's not one thing that could ever be hidden from you once you step into who you are, the truth of things. Deception is only exists because we have, again, through the thought, us thinking that we are limited to a certain aspect and that we can't access all things. And well, therefore, yeah, deception is going to be always in front of you. But when you realize your true state, there's nothing deceptive that could ever happen, because for instance, when you are around somebody, you're speaking to somebody in physical life, you have worked on yourself. You know yourself. You're very sensitive. You're intuitive. You know when someone's lying, even though they're saying that they're not lying to you. Because the more that you step into your heart, then you realize, okay, well, if truth if love is truth and truth is love, well, that means, okay, anything that is not authentic is actually not truth, because they're stepping out of love. The moment you step out of your authenticity, you start stepping out of love, which is, part of love itself. And so when you understand, like I said, love itself, that truth, then people that are in that high state of love back to themselves, when you come face to face with somebody that is not authentically being themselves truly, then yeah, you could see it, because there's no deception or lies. Even though they may be lying straight to your face, you could see past it, because authenticity, love, is not thought. It cannot be articulated in a logical sense, but it's something that is felt. Authenticity and love is felt, and there's nothing that could ever come between that. No amount of deception could come between that. And so, yeah, that's the answer. That's the answer to that.
Thank you so much for sharing. That was very, very clear, and I'm sure that the audience will resonate with that as well. Um, Darius, I wanted to ask. It's a very specific question, but in the non-physical dimensions, is it at all possible to encounter entities or human-like forms that seem conscious but are not actual souls, like such as constructs, programs, or something else?
Um, yes. But yes, in this way. So, is it possible to see unconscious things, not in the way that what people may think when I answer yes, or I say yes to this, but in this way? Okay, so we know that we have an electromagnetic field. So when I think of something physically here, In my mind right now, I'm thinking of something. I'm thinking of uh, a clown in front of me, for instance. I know it's weird. I'm just going to think of a clown. So right now, you can't see that clown. You can't visually see my thought form. But the moment you come out of the body, if you were in this space and you came out of your body or you were clinically dead, you would actually see myself sitting here physically, but you will also see my thought form, the clown, where I'm projecting it. So you could say the clown itself, whatever I'm projecting in my thought form, isn't a fully conscious entity of itself, but it still is real. And what you could do is when you see my thought form, because it's attached to my energetic signature, because it comes from me, you could trace that thought form back to the source itself, which is me. So everything is traced and everything's connected in that way. So it's a yes, but not in the way that people think.
Wow. Yeah, no, that really makes sense. So in a way, you're saying that when you're out of your body, when what you're identifying as the constructs that aren't actual souls are like, for example, your own thoughts. That if you're out of body experience, if you're having an OBE experience, that you can see someone else's thoughts manifested in that realm in a way.
Yes, 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 you can. You could see thought forms. Um, but but a thought form is still real, because this is what I was saying before. The reason why there's light in everything, even why the very sun itself that we look at as shining, is because of us. Because the moment we think of something, we don't realize how powerful we are. But when you see this out of your body, you realize, oh my God, I am literally that powerful. But the thought forms itself, you could even give life to thought itself. And you could say playing in different creations. You could say you could create something based off your thought forms and play with yourself in that way. It's still very real, but it's not in terms of not real in the way that people think. How I answer that question, it's a yes. Everything is still real. All of it is always real. And then this goes into some questions that people will have. Well, how could I tell? And they ask these things. So like, well, how could I tell base reality from imagination? Because imagination is not real. So I want tangible, this physical reality. And I say this to them: is imagination not real? Is it not part of you? You see, we are so confined by this 1% of this light spectrum that we think if it cannot be physically verified in the physical form, that therefore it's not real. But the very imagination is part of who you are. It's real. Everything that exists comes from the very imagination. First, you imagine something. This very notepad that I have came from somebody imagining it. They had a thought and imagination, and therefore they created it to be so in this physical reality. Imagination itself is no different from you itself or this physical reality. It's all real. Everything's real, and it's beyond the physical senses that we have. Is everything real and true? Yeah.
Wow, thank you for sharing. Just one question. You mentioned imagination. So would that mean that even like our dreams, do, are those real as well? Because sometimes the dreams, and I'm sure people relate to this. Sometimes the dreams we have, we don't think that, oh, like it's just crazy. Like it's like sometimes we don't believe that, oh, what we're thinking, that this can be true in any way. It just seems like gibberish. But when you say that there's truth to that as well.
Yeah. Yes. All of it is real, even your dreams itself. You see, there's so much more to you than you could possibly imagine. That when I talk about home, the infinite would be the infinite is literally all things good. It's all things in love. It's everything of all possibilities exist. There's not one limit placed on you. Even your dreams themselves are real. They are typically dreams are typically physical manifestations of your thoughts, your desires, your subconscious things. And sometimes these manifest into dimensional spaces. You could say pockets of a pocket within the very universe itself. It's you actually making a universe within a universe itself. You see, and that's what we are. Within this physical body, we have the ability to even create a multi-dimensional universe here, bridge of light here. We have this ability. You see? For that not to be true, well, then why is it that you could literally program the water within you and the cells within you? We bridge these things. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. I wanted to ask another question that came in from our audience. Do animals also have astral bodies and navigate the same non-physical layers we do as humans?
Yes. Yes. Animals have a soul. Yes. They all leave as well. Every single night we are all leaving. It's just where is the consciousness? How focused are you? Where is that consciousness? We the soul doesn't sleep. So when we fall asleep, it's the soul isn't just in the body falling asleep and it becomes unconscious. You are always conscious. This is why you have dreams and you have or you're leaving your body and you have these visions. You are always doing something. There's no such thing as sleep on the other side. Your soul never sleeps. Everything, even the animals themselves, have a soul. Every being in all of creation has a soul. Even the very ant to the insect, all of it has a soul. All of it's alive. Everything's alive.
Yeah, thank you so much for clarifying that. Darius, according to you, what is the biggest risk or trap people encounter when they first begin exploring non-physical states and OBEs?
The biggest trap that they encounter is themselves. Their self-imposed belief systems of that something could entrap and imprison their soul, and that's not true. That is the greatest trap in doing this, because the moment that you really believe that you can be entrapped or confined, like you'll manifest that to be so. Not forever, but you will make all of these fear-based things manifested in your space. That's the biggest trap. Full stop. The biggest trap.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Lastly, Darius, to bring this episode to a close, I wanted to ask you, do you think that the Earth is approaching the end of a major cycle? And what will that mean for the whole of humanity?
Yes, man. Yes, it's reaching a conclusion, a completion. Absolutely. Is when you go back, as I've stated in some of the stuff that I've talked about, you go back into past civilizations. There has been completions of before. A realization, a great awakening, ascension, enlightenment, all these different words to say the same thing. And yes, it's coming to that, man. It's actually already here. I mean, think about the stuff that I'm talking about. Think about the stuff that I'm literally, and it's not just me. It's okay. I'm saying this to you, but think about all the people that have experienced that as well. So it's already here. It's in the process of that. Yeah, because it's people remembering themselves, their home, the truth of that. And once that is remembered, there is not one thing of control that would ever exist. You see, the thing is, the reason why there's so much control here is because people people are still acting in control of greed, fear, attachments, loss, and therefore, this is why we have systems of control. But the moment you remember who you actually are, that doesn't exist. There is no, once you step into love, then those systems of control just cannot exist. And you step into your true divinity. There is so much more possible with this physical body than what people have been programmed to believe. That, if you could just start doing it at a very small scale, you'll see what they call miracles is possible within the physical body. Mm. Yep.
Wow, thank you so much for having this conversation with me today, Darius. It truly means a lot. I know that the audience really resonates with what you say, and so do I. So thank you so much for being here today with me. It really means a lot.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, man.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say 90% of you that are watching this right now aren't subscribed, and it would mean the world to us if you would. So if you can hit that subscribe button and the notifications icon, that would truly help us out and help us to give you the content that you want to watch.